Harris denied, and Jakob comes away with it. Here's Pascal. Scotty. OG down the lane. Right down Broad Street with a slam dunk. Here's Pascal to Scotty. OG right down the lane.
I like it. Just sharing a basketball when you know you're going to get the ball that you won't.
Coming into this game, the Raptors hadn't won against the Atlantic Division so far this season. And tonight, against Nick Nurse, Joel Embiid, Tyrese, Maxey, and the Philadelphia 76ers, they were going to have their hands full against one of the hottest teams in the NBA. And while they did play well and were led by Pascal Siakam throughout, it just wasn't good enough to get the win.
But the first thing that has to be is like sense of urgency, sense of intensity that we had, and sense of respect that we had for the game tonight. That was on a high level from the jump, and that's something that we need to learn how to implement and have it for 48 minutes.
The Raptors had a great first half of basketball, especially in the first quarter where they outscored Philly 37-28, thanks in large part to Siakam, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl, who combined for 32 points and 8 assists in the quarter. Everything was flowing for the Raptors offensively, and on defense, they were doing a good job of containing Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, who combined for 23 points in the first half. The Raptors sent tons of help and forced the ball out of their hands, and both players were forced into some tough decisions and bad turnovers. Still, Tobias Harris kept the Sixers in this one with 24 first half points, and by the end of the second quarter, it was the Raptors staring down the barrel of a 3-point deficit.
I thought that we started the game really well. Like all the conversations we had, all the work that we put in, preparation, scouting, our guys were to the point to start the game, and it was really good execution. We kept Embiid to only 2 points in the first quarter, and they were not getting anything easy. And when we had those opportunities, rebounding was better. Our opportunities to run in transition, we just did a really good job there.
But in the second half, Maxey and Embiid woke up in a major way. They combined for 41 points, and the Raptors quite simply just didn't have enough answers to keep them at bay. The Raptors bench units struggled in this one despite their starters playing well, and the Raptors offense grinded to a halt because the Sixers started to take care of the ball more. Meanwhile, the Raptors shot 27% from 3, and that's all she wrote, folks. That was it.
That's the league. It's the league of runs. Both teams, they had runs tonight. At the end of the game, Embiid and Maxey made some really tough shots, heavily contested shots. That's what those type of players do. And we ended up having 30 assists while shooting 27% from the field. And if we made a couple of more threes, it would be a different kind of game.
Harris, Embiid, and Maxey combined for 97 of the Sixers' 121 points, and one of the best offenses in the NBA just got the best of the Raptors. Toronto was led by Pascal Siakam, who put up 31 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists, and made some history as well, joining Kyle Lowry as the only other Raptor to be in the top 5 in points, rebounds, and assists in Raptors franchise history. Pretty cool. Now, Siakam was exceptional in this game. Scotty Barnes had some really impressive moments as well, despite struggling offensively. And Jakob Poeltl pitched in with 19 and was aggressive throughout. Even Gary Trent Jr. pitched in with 17 points as the Raptors made a late surge to keep things close. But Toronto didn't get much else from anywhere else, especially from Dennis Schroeder, who struggled in this game. 6 points and 6 assists on 2 of 8 shooting in 35 minutes of action. And while, yes, Schroeder did have a tough game, it was clear that they were trying to prioritize Siakam and Scotty, and that's what we're going to dive into in the film room. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I mentioned it on Twitter a bunch, but I thought this was a really good example of how the Toronto Raptors could prioritize Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes, get them more touches. You know, the conversation after their loss against the Nuggets was, you know, Dennis Schroeder is commandeering this offense. He's forcing himself to have a crazy amount of usage, touches, etc., especially late in games. And I thought in this game, the Raptors used Dennis Schroeder as if he was more of an ancillary, you know, secondary player, a tertiary player even, and had the ball more focused on Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam. For the most part, they were very successful in doing so. Now, there are some drawbacks to that as well, because you're forcing Schroeder to be more of an off-ball player. It's forcing him to be more of a shooter in certain situations, and that creates its own element, its own problems for that Raptors unit. But for the most part, you got what you wanted in terms of the offense. The Raptors, Darko Rajakovic, were clearly saying, hey, let's get Pascal and Scottie involved more often early in games, and it worked very well until the Raptors just lost it in the second half. So, Filmer, from the onset, you could tell the Raptors were prioritizing actions that involved both Scottie and Pascal. This is a, horn set where Scottie flares out and then goes into a dribble handoff in the corner with Siakam. Siakam pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl. Now he's going downhill for a mid-range jump shot. That involves all three of their front court players. It uses OG Anunoby as the weak side release valve. And honestly, it's a really, really good offensive set because, it tests out Scottie as this dribble handoff hub. He can escape this dribble handoff and go downhill if he wants to, if there's an opening, or Siakam can come off of the screen and settle into an area where he's elite at in that mid-range area. If the defense decides to collapse, then you have OG Anunoby in the corner. It's a great opening play. Also, it didn't involve Dennis Schroeder much. And even when actions did involve Schroeder, he was the primary action here in this high ball screen. You see that he is getting off the ball very quickly. He pitches the pass to Scottie Barnes, and now Scottie Barnes is the initiator here, and he finds Jakob Poeltl for the floater. Schroeder was moving off of the ball a lot in this game, being passive, if you will. An area where that really helped in was transition. You see right here off of this possession, Dennis gets the ball, but then pitches it immediately to Siakam, who then is able to push the ball up the floor. The Raptors get an opportunity here where Siakam, kind of a give and go situation between him and Barnes. Again, Schroeder is moving off of the ball much quicker, and it helped the Raptors get out in transition early in this game. Once again, even though it's a high pick and roll for Schroeder, he gets off the ball quickly, moves it to Jakob. They go into dribble handoff with Scottie, and this ends up in a wide open shot for Scottie Barnes above the break. Same thing here, a pick and roll, high screen and roll, and the Raptors get the switch. They're able to go ahead and take advantage of this switch here. He draws the help. Schroeder is able to attack the closeout. Once again, Siakam, a lot of drive and redrive stuff, and it leads to free throws for Pascal Siakam. That's what makes the off-ball Dennis Schroeder so elite, the fact that he can burst through the seams, attack closeouts because of his quickness. And yeah, I mean, that's going to be really, really important for this Raptors team as they put him off-ball more, potentially. In the second quarter, when it's more of the Schroeder-led units, he was moving off the ball a lot more too, trying to get things to OG Anunoby, who goes off for a nice little play here and attacks the basket. Same thing here. He pitches the pass to OG once again. They are setting up isolation scenarios for OG in these bench units to get downhill and attack. And I love that because I think these are the units where OG can thrive and get those on-ball reps that he really wants. That is on Schroeder to get him involved there. Same thing, Schroeder recognizes there's nothing there immediately off the pick and roll. Then he recognizes the post up, the mismatch that Siakam has in the post with Maxey. And Siakam is able to take advantage here. The Raptors get the Sixers in rotation. Scottie misses this shot, but ultimately that's a great offensive possession. It was because they moved the ball quickly. It was because Schroeder moved off the ball quickly. They took advantage of the post up properly, and the Sixers defense was in rotation because of it. Same idea here. The Raptors run a screen and roll with Siakam and Poeltl. Schroeder is so good off the ball because he can burst through those seams. He gets downhill, finds Poeltl, who then draws to the Raptors, get the Sixers in rotation once again, and it leads to a foul free throws for Pascal Siakam. I don't have the full clip here, but this was a hit-ahead pass that led to a Pascal Siakam bucket in the middle. Another hit-ahead pass for Schroeder in transition, and the Raptors take advantage of it with a OG dunk. And this is sort of how everything can work in the flow of the offense. There's nothing there. Siakam in the post. Then Schroeder is able to, again, attack downhill, draw help. He kicks it out to OG. The Raptors get the Sixers defense in rotation, and Gary Trent Jr. makes them pay. The driving the ball aspect is such an important part of Schroeder's game for this Raptors team. He needs to get downhill often, and I actually think he can do that off the ball when the defense is tilted. That being said, with Schroeder off ball more often, you do run into some problems. He's not the shooter that he was to start this season, and so when the Raptors do create an advantage out of the post, you have Schroeder being forced to take this shot, And ultimately, this is a shot the Sixers defense will live with. Meanwhile, you see here him off ball once again. The Raptors run their set, their action, and yeah, it leads to a good layup for Precious Achiuwa. Same idea here. Siakam in the post. Schroeder gets off the ball really quickly. He draws two, and then it is Gary Trent Jr. who makes them pay. And so the Raptors didn't even close with Dennis Schroeder. It was Gary Trent Jr. who slotted in the fourth quarter to provide some extra shooting, extra ball handling. That's the issue that comes with playing Schroeder off of the ball more, is the fact that you're forcing him to be a play finisher and a shooter more often. And while he has been able to knock down catch and shoot threes so far this season, it's not his best trait. It's not his best quality. You're forcing him to be a shot maker in that scenario. And it's just tough. That's just a drawback. Like, yes, they prioritized Pascal and Scotty much more often in this game. Schroeder, to his credit, got off of the ball more often. He was making that hit-ahead pass. I think Too Much Hoops, shout out to him. He mentioned it as well. But they were making that hit-ahead pass in transition. He was really prioritizing getting them involved early in this game and throughout this game. Especially in those bench units. Like, he was doing a good job of getting OG involved and Scotty and whatnot. For the most part, though, that creates another issue here in the sense that they need Dennis Schroeder to be more of an off-ball player and be this shooter, be this play finisher for you. The pro of that is the fact that he can attack a tilted defense. He can burst through the seams. He can get downhill. And so let's say Siakam is in the post. He draws the help. He kicks it out to Schroeder, who explodes to the basket. Now they're collapsing the defense. You kick it out to OG Anunoby or Gary Trent Jr. or Scotty Barnes, and that's a three-point shot. Or he dumps it off to Jakob Poeltl in the dunker spot, and that's a floater. That successful possession. But then there's another scenario in which, the Raptors, Siakam or Scotty is in the post. He draws help. He kicks it to Gary Trent Jr. Swing, and it's Schroeder there with the wide open three-point shot. And while you gotta take that shot every single time, the Sixers or any other defense is probably living with that shot 9 times out of 10, comfortable with him taking that shot. So those are the drawbacks of the two different things. You're prioritizing your two best players. Amen. Let's keep doing it. Keep rolling. But at the same time, that's the conundrum, and that's why the roster construction on this team is so difficult to deal with, because as you plug one hole, another hole arises. It's like whack-a-mole with the type of issues that you're dealing with on this Raptors team. And so that's just the way it is, right? That's just the way it is. Anyways, that's the most singing you're getting on these Raptors recaps. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tapping into this recap. Tap into the Objective Basketball Podcast if you want to. We just had Caitlin Cooper on to talk about the Indiana Pacers, also to talk about, where OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam might fit into the Pacers timeline if they do trade at some point in time. And yeah, tap in, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't see me, I will be obviously doing another recap here for the Utah Jazz game tomorrow. A happy holidays to everybody who does listen, who does tap in. A happy new year for those people who do tap in and listen to these things. So thank you so much. And yeah, appreciate all the viewership, all the tapping in, all the things you guys usually do. Take care. We'll see you.